I'm Stephen Page, Chief Executive of Sapphire Group. We've been around nearly 30 years. We are into software development. We have offices in the UK and the US, and we have offshore centres in St. Petersburg, Russia, and Cairo in Egypt. And with me is my colleague Shah,
Chief Executive of Ortegra. Ortegra is part of the Sapphire group of companies. It's a spin-off of the entire web division, focusing towards Web 2.0 site and application development, online collaboration, social networks, widgets, that side of it.
Okay. Well, I guess it's quite interesting because what you're doing then, in your collaboration, it's a combination of outsourcing, offshoring, but then also using quite new technologies that are sort of shaping the way services are being delivered across the internet. So, out of what you've seen today, what would you say sort of jumps out as relevant or interesting for what you're doing then? Out of any particular trends, for example?
Well, I suppose from my viewpoint, we didn't see a lot. We haven't heard much today about Web 2.0.
Yeah.
It seemed a little absent, maybe, but of course it is the in thing. It's the big activity that's going on. Everybody wants to be in Web 2.0, and everybody wants to have a Web 2.0 website.
Yeah.
And so I think that all of the offshore locations are trying to deliver something along those lines. And obviously that's one of our specialisations. We've got very good guys in Russia and very good guys in Egypt, both in that space.
And this is what you've been focused on developing there?
Correct.
So actually as a sort of service line, interactive Web 2.0 type websites then?
Correct, and we're all focused towards the open source community.
Yeah.
Building everything on open source is the right way to go.
Yeah.
Better support, you got a lot more resources available in the open market, and you're sharing and development with a huge community of people.
Yeah.
Also in terms of the resource of people, we have a team in Russia, we have a team in Egypt. When you're dealing in an open source community, you're not lacking in these special skills.
Yeah.
When you try to close up technology, then you're pretty much constricting yourself into smaller areas.
We also have a couple of guys in India, and they're collaborating between themselves. So the Russians and the Egyptians and the Indians are all talking to each other, and of course in English as opposed to other languages. So, and it works well.
And how do you coordinate all of that sort of collaboration then? Because it may well be that there's only a small team in India, a larger team in Russia. Again, you must be using Web 2.0 tools, I guess, to achieve that.
We use internal ticketing systems that manage projects. We've got a project management system that handles all the client projects and all the resources entered within each project, and we maintain that. And we have a project manager, an individual that kind of handles all the resources, all the characters in each country.
And most of the technology we're using is open source.
Yeah. So you have sort of systems set up that you could bring people on in different regions, like on stream into a project quite easily then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Plug and play, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you suddenly had a large project came along and it required some particular speciality, and you found that there's some guys down in Brazil, you could bring them onto the project.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
In fact, we really don't have a bias towards Russia or Egypt or India.
Yeah.
It's in fact that's where we've found the people.
Yeah.
But we've always thought we will go where the talent is.
Yeah.
So it can be anywhere.
There's someone this morning, actually I forgot which presentation it was, but was talking about there's a Microsoft tool that allows you to coordinate people working on the same project across multiple locations. And I think that he said something like £4,000 a month as a rental fee or something. I don't know if that was per license or not, but you're not using Microsoft products.
No, and in fact we have decided that very much our space is the open source world, as we said, as opposed to the Microsoft world. Although of course Microsoft do have great software as well. And we do quite a bit of .NET stuff. Yeah. But in general, we'll be looking for a similar sort of tool, and I'm sure in the open source world. I wasn't aware of that tool.
Yeah, and I don't mean to talk about Microsoft in a negative way. I'm not. It's not attacking them as a company. I guess what I mean is that within the open source community, there are now springing up project management tools that will allow you to work across borders in this way.
It's phenomenal what's in the open source world. Actually, it's clearly certainly within the web world and the Web 2.0 world, open source is way ahead of Microsoft, to be honest.
And I guess it's. I mean, it's a fairly special offering then. I mean, just to be focusing on Web 2.0 itself, because the problem is that, well, the offering itself is always changing. I mean, there's always something new turning up. I mean, how do you keep ahead of that? Do you have to almost have some kind of thought leadership that you can put in front of your potential clients then?
We normally, yes, the technology is changing on a constant basis. A lot of companies, what they try to do is they try to learn a small set of tools or applications and then try to fit that with their client requirements. We're trying to do something completely different. We have the resources that have a small team that just sits there learning new technologies, new things that are on the open market, testing new things, creating applets, and putting them back into the open source community. But our principle is we let the client decide what they want in the type of specification or overview, whatever the requirements of their project. And we try to get an application to fit their requirements rather than try to get an application and getting their requirements to fit the application.
Yeah.
So it's a different approach. But yes, you do need a team that constantly sits there and learns new stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And I mean, out of the sort of issues and trends in offshoring as we see it happening today, I mean, what do you see as some of the key or most important developments recently? Would you say that
the emergence of new countries, the emergence of places where you wouldn't have thought were going to be players before? As you said, you're going to Africa. I mean, who would have thought a few years ago that Nigeria would be a potential offshore activity centre? So I think that's what's happening, and collaboration between different countries across the world is what's going to be happening. It's not going to be go to India and stay there. Yeah. You're going to find the right people in the right places.
Yeah, so there's a difference in the market now, maybe because some of the tools that you're actually working on.
Absolutely.
Not only are you seeing new locations come on stream, but the tools are better.
Absolutely, the collaboration tools are far better and getting better all the time. It's phenomenal what's happening in the open source world.